So listen, today's episode, I am super excited about it. I am giving you an update on my life after divorce, okay? So I had a marriage of 20 years. If you've been following me for a minute, you know all about that. That was in the beginning when we first started the podcast. I mentioned that I had recently gone through a divorce. So it's been a little over a year now. And let me tell you how I'm feeling. Welcome to Unapologetically Fly, the podcast dedicated to giving you the tools, inspiration, and information you need to finally live for yourself, no matter the age, situation, or circumstance. I'm your host, Renee Mitchell-Simpson, the self-love and happiness coach and founder of Well Diva Lifestyle and Travel, the premier luxury wellness travel sisterhood for the flyest of aunties. Now get ready to ride along on my journey of reinvention, even at this big age, because sis, I need you to know it truly is never too late to fly. And by fly, I mean finally live for yourself. So for a long time, I contemplated divorce, and I went back and forth for several reasons. One, we had a child. Two, I was brought up in the Christian church, and divorce is something that God frowns upon. Three, we made marriage vows. Four, I had no idea how I was going to financially support myself. Five, I was not interested in a fight, a divorce war. Six, everybody kept saying, divorce is hard, divorce is hard. Seven, I didn't want to feel like, I had failed in trying to have a healthy relationship. So, just not wanting to give up. There's probably some more reasons, but those are the main ones, right? So I eventually got I guess you could say, courage and fed up enough. And then also just the release, like I felt like God would understand this. I got to that point where I just said, I cannot believe that the God that I serve will want me to be miserable. I got that in my mind and just went with that. I was just like, you know what, there is just no way. It just ain't even making no sense. So once I finally got the peace to go forward with the divorce, I did it, right? So I want to talk about, the whole, like how I'm doing now, basically, how I went from last year to this year. And I'm going to say the two biggest challenges that I faced after I had moved out and moved away and was on my own. One was an identity challenge because I went from being a wife and mom to being not a wife, still a mom, but at this point, I was no longer in the house with our daughter. She had actually gone away to college a year before I left. So there was that adjustment of, like, who am I? I'm not a wife. I'm not a mom to a kid who's, depending on me on a daily basis. I don't have a family to cook for. I don't have a family to come home, because I work at home. It's like nobody's coming home now. So just having to go through that identity shift was one of the things that I had to deal with. And the other was the financial challenge. Like, damn. Because my husband was the financial support for the household. Like, he pretty much took care of the bills. There were some small things that I took care of, but, he took care of all the major things. So it was a big shift. Huge shift financially, huge, huge, huge. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So, for me, I knew it was important that I go through a healing process and not just leave the marriage and just, just let time go by and not make any changes in myself and healing. And unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of people do that, and that's why you end up in another messed up ass marriage. So, yeah, no, just not even just for the next marriage, but just for myself. I knew I needed to do some things to make sure that I'm happy, whole, healed, all that good stuff. So some of the things I did, one was reading, and I actually started reading before I left the marriage because I knew it was going to end at some point. So I started reading and healing myself then. And as far as what I read, I talked about that in a recent Selfish Saturday episode. And you can get some of those books on my Amazon store, amazon.com/shop/welldiva. There's a couple of books there that were just really good. And time alone, just lots and lots and lots of time alone has been very therapeutic for me, has allowed me to just enjoy myself, get to know myself, redefine myself, heal myself, cater to myself. I have just enjoyed, I might have enjoyed time alone maybe too much. I laugh about some of the things that I enjoy doing here in the house alone. I've mentioned it a couple times, like on Facebook or somewhere, where like I just enjoy being silly by myself. I enjoy singing. The other night I posted about how I woke up at like 3 in the morning and was singing Not Like Us all loud. Like if I was in the house with somebody, let alone in the bed with somebody, I wouldn't be able to do that. And I know it sounds silly, but dang, just the freedom to do that was just, I enjoyed it. I just was able to laugh about it and just, like I could just totally be me. And I'm like really loving that, really loving that. So I've gone back to school. That's one of the things I've done. Not that I couldn't do it, but it's just something that I had kind of in the back of my mind for a long time. And I finally did that, and I'm glad I did. I only have a couple more quarters to go. So that's been good for me. So I want to talk about the emotional healing that just has to take place. People always talked about divorce being hard. I personally didn't find it to be as hard as people said, but yes, there have been some emotional roller coasters. It's been a little over a year now, and I feel like I'm done with all that. But there was a period where I would get sad, I would get angry, I don't know if I ever got to the lonely part. I don't know if I ever felt lonely, but I definitely had anger that I still had to deal with. I felt like I started dealing with it before I left, and I finished it after. So I'm done with that. Just want you to know, if you're going through this or if you're contemplating it, you will get through it. You just got to let yourself get through it. I did have a lowest point where I felt like, do I even want to live anymore? I really did have that part. I think it only lasted a day, but that was more related to the financial change than anything. Because I did something that a lot of women don't do. I left without alimony. I left without, I'm taking half of everything. I'm getting part of your pension. I declined all that because I did not want to deal with the toxic part of the fight. And that's probably the part that everybody talks about is so hard. We didn't deal with that. I just said, hey, look, you've offered this lump sum. I'm going to take it and go on about my business. And I won't bother you. You don't bother me. We are actually very cordial. We actually talk and laugh and we cool. And I think it's because we didn't go through that fight. We didn't have that ongoing, your lawyer, my lawyer, we're going to, cut this in half. We just didn't do any of that. And so it did leave me financially fucked up. It really did. And so there was a point where I was just like, I don't even know. I don't even know if I want to even be here anymore. But I have a daughter to live for. Okay, so that brought me to my senses for one. And then I love my life. It was just a bad day. So let's just get it straight. It was just one day where I was just really, really feeling low. But I have managed, I have figured it out, and I can see where things are definitely getting better. So financially, that has really been my worst thing is finances. Other than that, like I said, I don't feel lonely. I feel really happy, really at peace, and very, very confident that I made the right decision. Would I have made it sooner? I was waiting for our daughter to get out of the house. I just didn't want her to be in a single parent home. I just didn't want that for her. So, was it the right decision to wait that long? Maybe not, but it is what it is. So yeah. All right. So what helped me? What helped me to get through? Time, talking to friends when I needed to, reading the books that I read, um, and allowing emotions to pass through as they arise, not trying to suppress any emotions. As an emotion comes up, let it go through you, let it work its course. Do not try to distract yourself. Do not try to get another person and get involved and not deal with the emotions. Keep other people out of this. Taking my time to be by myself has been highly valuable. I absolutely adore my time to myself. And if you're going through a divorce or you are divorced and you haven't gotten to the point where you absolutely love your alone time, then you need to do that. Do not bring someone else into your life without healing and getting past that point of where you don't want to be alone, because you're just going to have a repeat. Just don't do that. And if you need to see a therapist, see a therapist. Do that. That is a really good idea. So I've had the opportunity to focus on personal and professional growth. That is really what I have been doing, is growing, and that's what I recommend. Social connections. Build and maintain social connections. I have made new friends, reconnected with old friends, enjoyed developing those relationships. I did an episode on making new friends later in life, so go and look at that if you have not done that. If you are a woman 40 and up and you need to find some new friends, join us on one of our trips, because these ladies really are making new friends on these trips, having a good old time. Yeah, some of the ladies that I actually talk to quite a bit now, I have met through the travel group. So, all right. Now, I'm going to give you some homework. If you are going through a divorce or contemplating it, here's your homework, okay? First, let go of anger. Do what you can to work through anger, because it's toxic. I remember one point where I was just walking around with anger. This was before I even left the marriage. Just anger to the point where I could literally feel it in my body, and I was like getting stiff. Like I could hardly move because there was so much heat, inflammation, fire in my bones. That was anger. Let that go. Release that anger. Figure out how to let that go, whether it's talking it out or getting a therapist or something. You gotta let that anger go. One of the things that was really therapeutic for me was to find something to be grateful for in that relationship. You got with that person for some reason. So see if you can find the positive, find the positive in the relationship and focus on that, because what you focus on grows. So if you focusing on the negative, you're going to get more of it. So find the positive and focus on that as much as you can. And you may not be able to focus on it in the beginning, but if you practice, you will be able to focus on that. That's your first homework assignment. Your second is to treat yourself to a Well Diva experience or something that you have wanted to do for yourself but haven't. It's okay to splurge on yourself and cheer yourself up if you need to do that, okay? And 3, read some books, get some therapy, and get a coach. Do one or all 3. I don't care how you do it, but don't try to just do this by talking to your friends, because your friends don't need you dumping all that on them all the time. So get yourself some books and go through the exercises that they tell you to do in the books. Don't just read the book and bend the page and never come back to it. If they tell you some activity to do in the book, do it, because it really is going to be helpful. Get a good therapist. Don't just go to be talking to somebody all the time and you're not moving forward. Get you a good therapist or get a coach. There are divorce coaches. I can do divorce coaching, okay? You can go to heal.me/welldiva and sign up for an appointment with me, and I can walk you through this. Because you probably need a coach, especially if you're always calling your friends, getting in their ear. That's not what they're for, okay? It's okay every now and then, but don't make a career out of that. All right, so going forward, a question I've had is, are you going to get married again? Dang, my brothers asked me that like I hadn't even been out of the house but a week or so, and they're asking me that. I'm like, dang. Maybe. But for now, will I date? I have actually gone on a date. But right now, I'm just focused on getting in shape because I had that, happily married body. And as we age, it's so important that we strengthen our muscles and take care of our bones and not carry around excess weight, not be sedentary. I was so comfortable, so sedentary, and that is not healthy. And so right now, I'm just really focused on my physical well-being, okay, like I've never been before. Like I am a dietitian, and so I have no problem with following a healthy diet, but I've just never been one to be physically active. I've never been an athlete, but now I'm just excited about transforming my body, developing muscle, building strength. I'm just excited about that. And I'm really getting into that now for the first time. Relationships. I know how healthy relationships can help you grow. And I'm all about growth. So yeah, I'm interested in a relationship. Today, it's no hurry. Because like I said, I'm totally in love with my personal time, my me time. But if I should meet someone and they're really interesting, I'm open to it. I'm not going to say no. So yeah, and if you real cute and you real brainy, yeah, I'm interested. And so what else is coming up? I have some retreats coming up. I'm working on a podcasting retreat. If you have been wanting to start a podcast, stay tuned because I want you to come on out here and meet me in person for a retreat to walk you through the process of starting your podcast and just equip you with everything that you need, the mindset, the equipment list, everything that you need to start your own podcast. Because a lot of y'all got a message and you need to stop keeping it to yourself and you need to get it out there. And podcasting is the perfect way to do that. I have a Bali trip coming up, a Morocco New Year's Eve trip coming up. So if you want to join me for those, welldiva.com, and look for Bali, look for Morocco, and several other trips that are coming up. Also, a Ghana retreat. I definitely want to do a retreat in Ghana. I talked about that in a recent episode. Keep an eye out at welldiva.com for that. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, please do that because you will be notified as these retreats and trips open up for registration. I also, in Ghana, I got my Ghana card. So that means I'm just moving in the direction of starting a business or getting some property in Ghana. So that's some things that are on the horizon for me that I'm just really excited about, and that I'm pretty sure if I had not left my marriage, I probably wouldn't even be thinking that big because I was in a comfort zone. So it's nice to step out of the comfort zone and into dreaming again and having big goals and dreams. Okay. So the last thing I want to say is if you are considering divorce or going through divorce or went through divorce and feeling regretful about, feeling like it was a failure, it's not a failure. I mean, the failure is if you are staying in a marriage unhappy. That is the failure. If you do not have the courage and the belief in yourself and the faith that God has got your back to move forward and jump out of something that you know is not serving you, that's the failure. So I see it as look for the good that came out of your marriage. For me, I have a daughter. I have a beautiful daughter, and I have grown, and I know myself so much more now. I remember before getting married, I used to be lonely. I want to be married. I don't have none of them problems now, y'all. So also see it as you get a do-over if that's what you want. If you want to get married again, you got to get out of the first one and get single and get to know yourself before you can do it again, okay? And then also, a lot of people don't know the joy of solitude. A lot of people have this assumption that being married is better. And I think the only people who feel that way are the people who've never been married. I don't know, because I'm pretty happy over here. So, yeah. A happy marriage is not something that I've experienced, so I can't really speak on that. Hopefully, I'm not going to say hopefully. If I do it again, I know that that's what it's going to be. So, but yeah, being single is actually pretty doggone nice. And if you are married and you're not happily married, you need to get over here and get to know this. Or you need to go get whatever you can get, therapy, whatever you need to get to fix your situation. But do not stay in an unhappy situation. It is just so not worth it, so unhealthy. That mess can shorten your life. It will mess up your health. It's just not a good thing. And if you're doing it just for the appearance on the outside, that's just not worth it. Don't do that to yourself. Get some help or get out, but don't stay in something unhappy for any reason. It's so not worth it. Okay. All right. So I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's it. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Leave me any questions you want to leave. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you next time on Unapologetically Fly. Thank you for watching. Now be sure to like, subscribe, share with your besties, and tell me what topics would you like more of in the comments below, so I know I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. I also invite you to join me in the Well Divas on one of our Unapologetically Fly wellness travel experiences. Visit welldiva.com and select someplace wonderful to meet up with us. Until next time, stay unapologetically fly.